Yo, what's going on? Camille here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build Yaoyao. So first of all, since she's a new character, we're going to explain her skills first and how she works. Her auto attacks are just going to be normal physical polearm auto attacks. Nothing really special about them. Usually, you probably don't want to use them. Now, for her elemental skill, it's going to throw like a bunny on the field. You can press it or you can hold it. There's absolutely no difference. It's going to throw the same bunny. The only difference is that you can aim where you like throw the bunny exactly. So yeah. But yeah, that bunny on the field is gonna be like throwing radishes. It's gonna be like little things, and these radishes can either heal you or do damage to enemies. When you have below 70% HP, they're gonna prioritize healing you first, and then when the active character on the field has more than 70% HP, in that case they're gonna be like throwing radishes at enemies so they can do damage to them. Your elemental burst is pretty much the same thing really. It's just gonna throw in like multiple rabbits on the field, but these rabbits are gonna deal more damage and they're gonna heal you more. They're also gonna be throwing like radishes faster. So yeah, it's just more healing, more damage, and it's also gonna buff your elemental skill. That's pretty much it really. Now for first passive, when you're inside of your elemental burst state, when you run, jump, or sprint, it's gonna throw like radishes. That's it. So it's also like more healing and damage. And then the second passive is that when the radishes explode, it's gonna heal the character on the field within their AoE. It's gonna heal you based around Yaoyao's max HP every 1 second for 5 seconds for each radish that explodes. So yeah, her kit is generally just revolved around healing. She's more of like a Dendro healer. She can deal damage, but it's not really that much. You probably shouldn't really build her for damage specifically. Her main role is gonna be like a Dendro healer. I guess she's kind of forced to play as like a driver maybe, but the thing is she doesn't have the application, so I don't really know what were they doing with that. She takes field time, but doesn't really do much on the field, but generally speaking, she's a Dendro healer. That's what her main role is. Other roles are just kind of like scuffed things. Now moving on to her talent priorities, generally you want to upgrade your elemental skill first. That's generally the main thing on Yaoyao. And then you want to upgrade your elemental burst. Your elemental burst is going to be cool too, but the thing is it's going to cost a lot of energy, so you probably wouldn't really end up using it a lot, and it's not really worth that much energy cost. So yeah, you should still upgrade it, but you probably should prioritize your elemental skill. Your auto attacks, you probably wouldn't really be using them unless you're using her with like infusion and stuff like that. In that case, you can upgrade them, but other than that, you should probably not upgrade your auto attacks. Now moving on to her constellations, we're going to see which ones are good and which ones are not. So the first constellation is that when a radish explodes, the active character within its AoE is going to gain 15% Dendro damage bonus. And it's also going to restore some of their stamina. That's pretty decent, especially for C1, it's just Dendro damage bonus. If you're playing her with like a Dendro DPS, Alhazen for example, or something like that, it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, I would say C1 is cool. The effects is kind of limited, but it's calm. Her C2 is just going to give you more energy, which you're going to need. It's not really that much, but it's going to be a pretty good energy increase. But the thing is, you're only going to gain energy inside of your elemental burst state, so it's only going to work for like your second burst on the abyss or something like that. But generally speaking though, she needs a lot of energy. She's like hungry for energy, so anything that gives energy I would consider good. So yeah, I would say C2 is good, especially because it's kind of cheap. C3 is going to increase the level of your elemental skill. I mean, yeah, it's just going to increase your healing and damage, so I would guess it's good. I'm not really sure if it's worth it because it's C3, but it's good. It's definitely not bad. C4 is just going to increase your elemental mastery from your HP with a maximum of 120 elemental mastery. It's a decent constellation, especially because you're going to be building HP anyways on Yaoyao. But the thing is, with the internal cooldowns and stuff like that, I wouldn't really say her reactions are going to be that good. So it's not like a super good constellation, and because it's C4 is kind of expensive, I would say it's not worth it. It's not bad, and in some cases it might be worth it, but generally speaking, I wouldn't really say it's like a super good constellation. C5 is going to increase the level of your elemental burst, definitely not worth it. And C6 is that every now and then it's going to be throwing like a huge radish. It's going to heal you a lot more and deal more damage. It's going to be a decent constellation, especially because she doesn't really heal much in the first place. But for C6, I'm not really sure if it's like worth it. I wouldn't really say it's a super good C6, so I wouldn't say it's worth it. But it's good. It's not bad, but for C6, it's not worth it. So yeah, for constellations, I would say go for like C2 and that's it. You're going to gain damage bonus and it's going to help you out a little bit with energy, and that's it. Other than that, C3, C4, C5, and C6, they're probably not really worth it. Alright, so now moving on to her weapons. So for her weapons, preferably, obviously you'd want to get something with HP. Her healing's gonna scale off with HP, which is her main thing, so any weapon that's gonna give you HP is gonna be pretty good. So for that, I would say her best weapon is gonna be the Black Tassel. It's a 3-star weapon, cheap, free to play, and it's gonna give you a lot of HP, which is perfect for Yaoyao. So in my opinion, this is like her best on slot. The Favonius is also gonna be pretty good. It's a good energy recharge weapon, but the main thing is gonna support your team, which is pretty good. She's like a support character, so the Favonius is always going to be good on support characters. Wound Piercer is also going to be a decent support weapon. It's not really going to be super good on Yaoyao herself, but as a support weapon, it's going to be decent. So yeah, it's going to be a usable weapon too. Obviously, you have the Staff of Homa. It's going to give you HP and damage too, so it's a pretty decent weapon too. Wouldn't really recommend using it on Yaoyao. It's kind of a waste, but I mean, it's usable. Hidden Cross Spear is also going to be kind of usable for energy, and it's also going to give you some elemental mastery. Engulfing Lightning is also going to be usable too. The Skyward is also going to be usable for energy recharge. So yeah, these are like her main weapons, just energy recharge weapons or HP weapons or support weapons. That's it. But if you want to build her for damage, I guess you can use like the other damage weapons. So you have all of the 5 stars and the crit weapons and stuff like that. Definitely not recommended, but you can do it. Now moving on to her artifact sets. I just want to say, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So for her artifact sets, the best one is definitely going to be the 4-piece Nasty of the Millilith. She's going to be able to fully use it, and it's going to be a great support set. So in my opinion, this is definitely the set you'd want to go for on Yaoyao. A worse option might be the 4-piece Noblesse. You cannot really use it on a full uptime, and as I said before, you probably shouldn't really go for 100% uptime in your elemental burst. So it's going to be even worse. I wouldn't really recommend it, and it's just like a literally worse option than the 4-piece Nasty of the Millilith. But if you already have like a good set, I guess you can use it too. It's not ideal, but it's usable. You can use the 4-piece Ocean Hued for damage and also for healing bonus. It's definitely a viable option too if you want to use her more as like a support for damage. And finally, you can use her with like the 4-piece Deepwood. It's going to give you damage bonus, and it's going to be a very good like Dendro supportive set. So if you're using her in like a Dendro team with Alhaitham, for example, or anyone, or Nahida or whatever, in that case you can use the 4-piece Deepwood. It's going to be pretty good. You're going to be decreasing the Dendro resistance for the rest of your team. And obviously you can mix 2 pieces, for example 2-piece Deepwood, then a 2-piece Ocean Hued or whatever. But generally speaking, I would just recommend using the 4-piece Deepwood or the 4-piece Nasty of the Millilith. These are like her best sets because they're more of like supportive sets, which is going to fit her pretty well. Now moving on to her artifact stats, it's going to be pretty simple. For the main stats, you want to go HP, energy recharge, or elemental mastery. HP is definitely the better option. If you lack energy recharge, you can go energy recharge. Definitely would not recommend it, but it's a viable option. I would say even if you lack energy recharge, you probably shouldn't. But if you want to make sure you have her burst on a good uptime, in that case, you can go like energy recharge. Elemental mastery is definitely not worth it in my opinion too. We're going to have to wait and see more of how it can be used. But as for right now, generally speaking, from what I'm seeing from like her internal cooldowns, I don't think elemental mastery is gonna be worth it. So yeah, I would say you should go HP on her sands, and that's it. For her goblet, you should definitely go HP, and then for her circlet, you can go HP, damage bonus, or crit. Healing bonus if you want to maximize your healing bonus, obviously. Crit if you want to maximize your damage and you want to build some crit on her. And then HP is like another worse healing option if you don't have a good like healing bonus circlet. For the substats, you should obviously focus on HP. You should get some energy recharge, some crit, and some elemental mastery too. Just make sure you have enough HP, and then maybe get some energy recharge, crit, and stuff like that. Her final stats, I wouldn't really say she's gonna need that much. You just want to get as much HP as you can. This is the most important thing. And then for energy recharge, if you want to use her elemental burst at a good uptime, you're probably gonna need like 180 to 220 energy recharge. Her burst is gonna cost a lot of energy, so you're gonna need that much if you want to use it at 100% uptime. In my opinion, it's definitely not worth it. Her burst is kind of bad in my opinion, just purely for the energy cost. Yes, it's gonna give you more healing and stuff like that, but the thing is, it's gonna take field time, which is a very bad thing. And the second problem, and the main problem, is that it's gonna cost 80 energy. It's definitely not worth 80 energy, like that's for sure. It should have been at least like 60 energy. It would have been reasonable, but for 80 energy, it's definitely not worth it. So it's one of those characters that I would say just neglect your elemental burst completely. Just use it when it's ready, and that's it. You don't have to use it at 100% uptime or anything like that, because it's just simply not worth it. Now for Elemental Mastery, I wouldn't say there's a specific number 2. Just get some substats and that's it. Elemental Mastery is gonna be decent honor, but as I said, for the internal cooldowns, I wouldn't really say it's gonna be like super good. So I don't think stacking Elemental Mastery is gonna be a very good idea too. Just get some substats maybe and that's it. Or if you really want to, you can go for like one main stat on your Sands, for example, or something like that. But you're probably gonna have buffs and stuff like that, so I wouldn't really recommend having a lot of Elemental Mastery originally on Yaoyao. Just get some substats and that's it. Alright, so now moving on to our team comps. So as I said before guys, she's gonna be a Dendro healer. This is like her main thing. She's the only Dendro healer in the game right now. That's like her main reason why you'd want to use Yaoyao. If you need a Dendro on your team and you need a healer at the same time, Yaoyao is the one to go. Other than that, she's probably very replaceable by a lot of other characters. So like meta team examples of where she might be usable are gonna be like a Nilo team, for example. So you're gonna have like Nilo, Nahida, then Yaoyao, then like another Hydro. In that case, you can use a damage Hydro, for example, like Ayato or Xingqiu or whatever. This is gonna be a good team where she's gonna replace like Barbara, for example, and allows you to use like a better Hydro because she's gonna be the one healing on your team. I still think she's gonna be worse than Kokomi though, so if you have Kokomi, she's definitely the one still to use on that team. But if you don't have Kokomi and you're using Barbara with Nilo and Nahida, in that case, Yaoyao is gonna be an upgrade. So yeah, this is probably one of the best teams where you can use Yaoyao. Other things I can think of is like a Hyper Bloom team. For example, you can use her with Al-Haytham obviously, and then Yaoyao, and then let's say Xingqiu, and then Raiden. Just say simple Hyper Bloom team. She's gonna be a Dendro healer. Again, I'm not really sure if she's gonna be the best option here, but she's definitely gonna be viable. To be honest, I would say just play her if you like her. Meta-wise, she's not really like super good, just to be honest. She's always gonna have replacements. But yeah, if you like her, you should just play her wherever you want. And you shouldn't really care about the meta in the first place. Like TCG is out right now, who cares about the meta? They said they're not gonna have any end game, so who cares? Why am I even making these videos?